Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be talking about Super Bowl halftime shows.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. So we found this article, and it's analyzing all the shows, like all the way from the 1960s to today.
Okay.
But we're going to be looking at it specifically through the lens of gender representation.
I see.
Which I think, is really interesting, just given how much attention these halftime shows get and how much they've changed over the years.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's more than just like who's singing and dancing, right?
Right.
These shows are like massive cultural moments. Millions and millions of people are watching them.
Yeah.
And, the performers they choose can actually reflect like broader societal values.
Yeah.
And even like shifts in the music industry itself. It's really fascinating. We can actually like track how things have changed or haven't just by looking at who's been given that spotlight over the decades.
That's so true.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Data on the screen, numbers come alive. Male, female flows where the patterns thrive. Visual charts, public colors unify. Gender decoded, bringing truth to light. Watch them all drum fill. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling, facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide.
All right, so let's talk Super Bowl halftime shows. I mean, you think it's just about the music, but it's like so much more than that, right? It reflects like our culture and stuff. And you send over this incredible article that kind of breaks down gender representation on that stage and how that's evolved, over the decades. It's fascinating stuff. I'm excited to dive in with you.
Yeah, I think you'll find it really interesting. We're basically talking about the evolution of not just music, but like societal norms too. It's a lot. How have things changed?
Yeah.
What kind of progress have we made? Where do we still have work to do? Those are the big questions we'll unpack.
Exactly. So let's rewind all the way back. From like the late 60s through the 80s, that halftime show was like a completely different animal, right? Marching bands, drill teams. It's almost hard to picture now with all the, pyrotechnics and like the megastar performances we're used to.
Yeah, it's a stark contrast for sure. The article mentions Anita Bryant and Ella Fitzgerald performing during that era. Legendary female vocalists for sure. Yeah. But they often shared the stage with male collaborators or were part of like larger ensembles.
That makes you think, was it just a reflection of the times, like that whole conservative backdrop? Or did those early halftime shows actually, reinforce those traditional gender roles and stuff?
Yeah, it's probably a bit of both, honestly.
Yeah.
Think about the broader entertainment landscape back then. How often were women getting solo billing in concerts or, dominating the charts? It's fascinating how these seemingly separate worlds, entertainment and societal values, intertwine.
True. Okay, so cue the 90s and things start to shift, right? You've got like these larger-than-life solo acts taking center stage. Who could forget Michael Jackson in '93? That performance just blew the roof off the whole concept of, what a halftime show could even be.
Oh, absolutely. It wasn't just about the music anymore. It was about the spectacle.
Yeah.
That performance was like a total game changer in terms of the production, the stagecraft, all that.
Yeah.
They were using innovative techniques that really pushed the boundaries of live entertainment.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson just set a whole new standard.
He did. But here's the thing, though. It wasn't just a parade of male megastars, right? We also see strong female performers like Gloria Estefan in '92 and, of course, Diana Ross in '96 becoming the first woman to actually headline solo. Those were huge moments for female representation.
Absolutely. Huge milestones. Those were,
yeah.
Think about the barriers they broke. Diana Ross in particular demonstrated that a female artist could command that massive stage with the same power and charisma as like their male counterparts. It set a real precedent and paved the way for a whole, new generation of performers.
Okay, so we're feeling good, right? Progress is happening. And then the 2000s roll around and it feels like a bit of a step back almost, becomes like the era of male rock legends, Paul McCartney, the Rolling Stones, Bruce Springsteen. Was there something about that shift to rock that, influenced the gender representation?
That's a great question. And the article kind of touches on a major turning point here. Janet Jackson's 2004 performance and the infamous, wardrobe malfunction. Remember that whole media frenzy that followed?
Oh, of course. It felt like the entire world was talking about it. I wonder if the NFL's reaction, shifting towards a more safe choice like male rock bands afterwards kind of reveals something about their mindset at the time.
It's certainly a valid question. The incident definitely led to tighter broadcast regulations and a palpable sense of caution within the NFL. Were they just overreacting to a single incident? Or were they already leaning towards male rock acts as a more reliable choice? It's hard to say for sure.
Makes you wonder, huh? And here's the ironic part, though. A lot of these bands were known for their rebellious behavior back in the day.
Exactly. It really highlights the complexities of, how we perceive and judge performers based on gender. Was the NFL genuinely concerned about avoiding controversy, or did they simply fall back on, pre-existing biases?
Now, buckle up, because here come the 2010s and things get really interesting. It's like a surge of female power hits the halftime stage. Beyoncé, Madonna, Lady Gaga, they aren't just singers anymore. These are cultural icons.
Yeah, it's a definite shift. And it's not just that they were critically acclaimed, they were commercially successful, too. Did you know Katy Perry's 2015 performance became the most watched halftime show ever? That says something about the drawing power of female artists.
Wow, I actually didn't know that. That's wild. So what's fueling this change then? Is it a conscious effort to diversify, or is there something bigger at play?
It's probably a bunch of factors all coming together. Think about what's happening in the culture during this period. The hashtag #MeToo movement, the growing push for inclusivity, a greater awareness of, gender representation in all aspects of society. The Super Bowl halftime show being a major cultural event was naturally influenced by these trends, right?
Right. It's like the halftime show was finally catching up to the progress happening in the world around it.
Yeah. So let's fast forward to the 2020s then. Did this positive momentum continue?
In a lot of ways, yes. Shakira and J-Lo's 2020 performance was a fantastic celebration of, Latina representation and female empowerment, drew a massive audience. And then there's Rihanna.
And Kendrick Lamar headlining in 2025. It feels like we're taking 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
Yeah.
Is the NFL still hesitant to fully embrace gender parity, especially when it comes to those solo headlining spots? I think that's a key question we need to explore. We're seeing progress, for sure, but certain biases and patterns seem to linger. Why is that? What are the underlying factors, driving these choices?
I'm ready to dig into that. But first, let's take a quick break and come back for part 2 of our deep dive into the fascinating world of the Super Bowl halftime show.
We've been kind of breaking down these trends and all that, but let's take a step back for a second and think about why this even matters, It's more than just who's singing and dancing out there.
Oh, for sure, for sure. It's easy to just get caught up in the spectacle of it all. But this is a huge cultural moment, Yeah. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. So what messages are being sent, especially to young people watching?
That's a key point.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl halftime show isn't just entertainment,
Yeah.
It's a reflection of our values, our priorities as a society. And for a lot of people, especially those who maybe aren't plugged into the music scene 24/7, this is their only exposure to certain types of artists. So who gets that spotlight? That really matters.
It's like saying, this is who we celebrate. This is who we deem worthy of attention. And if certain voices are consistently absent or relegated to the sidelines, that sends a message too, doesn't it?
Precisely. And that message can be especially powerful for young people who are still kind of developing their understanding of the world and everything. If they don't see themselves represented on that stage, it can make them feel invisible, like their dreams and aspirations aren't valued.
Yeah, it's about more than just feeling seen, though, isn't it? It's about role models, about seeing possibilities for your own life. I mean, if young girls only see male rock stars headlining the Super Bowl, for example, they might unconsciously internalize the message that, rock music is a boys' club.
That's a great point. Representation isn't just about visibility. It's about, challenging those unspoken assumptions about who belongs where. It's about expanding possibilities, showing that anyone can pursue their passion regardless of gender.
And from a creative standpoint, think about what we lose when we limit those opportunities, Diversity of voices leads to diversity of perspectives, which ultimately makes music more interesting, more vibrant for everyone.
Representation. Giving female artists the same opportunities to headline, to collaborate, to shape the creative direction of the show.
So it's not just about putting women on stage. It's about giving them a real voice, a seat at the table. Yeah. They need to be empowered to, showcase their unique talents and perspectives.
Exactly. And that requires taking risks, being willing to step outside those comfortable, familiar choices that have dominated in the past.
And that can be scary for like a massive organization like the NFL, right? They're always thinking about rating sponsorships, avoiding controversy.
Of course. But the potential rewards, huge. Imagine the buzz, the excitement, the cultural impact of a truly diverse and representative halftime show. It would send such a powerful message about inclusivity progress, one that would resonate far beyond the football field.
Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't just be a performance, it would be a statement.
Yeah.
It would show the world that the NFL is committed to like reflecting the diversity of its audience, and that's something people would remember and talk about for years to come.
Absolutely. And think about the impact on, a whole new generation of young performers. Seeing that level of representation on such a huge platform, that would inspire them, show them that anything is possible regardless of gender.
Okay, so that's like the big picture, the why behind this whole conversation. Yeah. But what about some like concrete actions the NFL could take? Are there specific things they could do to make these halftime shows more inclusive?
The article highlights a few practical suggestions. One is to focus on booking more female artists in genres that have historically been, male-dominated, like rock and hip-hop. It's not just about the gender of the performer, it's also about challenging the, preconceived notions of who belongs in certain musical spaces.
So like expanding the definition of what a Super Bowl halftime show can even be, what kind of music it can encompass. I like that. It's about pushing those boundaries, giving audiences something fresh and unexpected.
Exactly. And it might mean like, taking a chance on some up-and-coming artists who haven't reached superstar level yet. It's about actively seeking out diverse talent, not just going with the usual big names.
That's where you find those hidden gems, right? The artists who bring like a new energy, a new perspective to the stage. I'm all for shaking things up a bit.
Another suggestion is to create more opportunities for collaboration between male and female artists, but with an emphasis on equal billing and creative control. It's about like a genuine partnership.
Yeah.
Showcasing both performers' strengths and perspectives, not just having a female artist as a guest during a male artist's set.
Yeah, I think those collaborative performances often bring out the best in both artists, They can create something really special when their styles and energies complement each other.
And lastly, the article really emphasizes the importance of transparency and accountability. The NFL should be open about its selection process, its goals for representation, how it's measuring progress.
That's key. It's not enough to just say you're committed to diversity. You got to show it, and you got to be willing to be held accountable for the choices you make.
Exactly. It's about demonstrating a genuine commitment to change, not just paying lip service to it.
It sounds like there's like a lot of potential here for the Super Bowl halftime show to become a platform for not just entertainment, but like real cultural impact, It could be a force for good, a celebration of diversity, a moment that truly unites and inspires people.
That's a great way to put it. And ultimately, it's not just about putting on a good show. It's about using that platform to reflect the best of who we are and to inspire positive change.
Well said. Okay, so we've talked about the past, we've analyzed the present, but what about the future? Where do we go from here? What does the future hold for gender representation in the Super Bowl halftime show? I'm dying to know your thoughts.
I'm ready to dive into those predictions, but let's first take a moment to gather our thoughts. We'll be back in a flash to explore what the future might hold.
All right, so we're back and ready to tackle like the big question on everyone's mind. What does the future hold for gender representation in the Super Bowl halftime show? Crystal ball time.
Well, predicting the future is always tricky. But I think based on everything we've talked about, there's reason to be both optimistic and kind of cautiously skeptical. It's a little bit of a tightrope walk.
Okay, I like that. Balanced perspective. So let's start with the good stuff. What makes you hopeful about the future of halftime shows?
Well, I think the demand for inclusivity is only getting stronger, right? Especially among like younger generations. They're the ones shaping the culture, driving the trends, holding these institutions accountable for their choices.
Yeah, and they're the ones buying the Super Bowl tickets, streaming the music, making their voices heard on social media.
Exactly. At the end of the day, the NFL is a business. They want to stay relevant. They want to stay appealing to a wide audience. And that means reflecting the diversity of their viewership and their programming and, their choices for performers.
So there's like a real financial incentive to get this right, which is always a powerful motivator. What else is giving you that optimistic outlook?
I think we're also seeing like a positive shift within the music industry itself. More female artists are breaking through in genres that have historically been male-dominated. It's not just about pop stars anymore.
You're right. We're seeing more female rappers, rockers, DJs, producers. It's exciting to see those boundaries kind of blurring and more opportunities opening up for women across, the whole musical spectrum.
Exactly. And that just gives the NFL more options, more freedom to create truly diverse and representative halftime shows. They can really shake things up and surprise us.
Okay. I'm feeling the optimism, but you also said cautiously skeptical. What are some of the potential roadblocks or challenges that might hinder progress?
Well, one concern is that the NFL might fall into the trap of tokenism.
Yeah.
It's easy to check a box by booking one or two high-profile female artists and calling it a day.
Yeah.
But true representation is about more than just numbers.
Right. It's about showcasing a wide range of female artists across different genres at different stages in their careers and giving them real creative control, not just relegating them to supporting roles.
Exactly. It's about empowering women to really shape the direction of the halftime show, bring their unique visions and perspectives to the stage. Otherwise, it's just window dressing and nobody's fooled.
I see your point. So tokenism is one potential pitfall. What else is giving you pause?
Well, there's also the NFL's history of, risk aversion. The Janet Jackson incident kind of casts a long shadow, and I think there's still a tendency to see male performers as a safer choice, even if that's not actually true.
It's they're afraid of anything that might generate controversy or upset sponsors, but if they only stick to the predictable, the familiar, they're going to miss out on, opportunities to create something truly groundbreaking, something memorable.
And they risk alienating a whole generation of viewers who are looking for something more, something that reflects their values, their experiences, a show that challenges norms and pushes boundaries.
So it sounds like the future of the Super Bowl halftime show really hinges on the NFL finding that sweet spot between, appealing to a broad audience and taking creative risks, being inclusive, but also pushing the envelope. It's a delicate balance for sure.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate these complexities in the years to come. Will they embrace true gender parity, or will those biases continue to hold women back? Only time will tell.
Well, I, for one, am hoping for a future where that Super Bowl halftime show becomes a true celebration of diversity and talent, a platform that showcases the best of what music has to offer, regardless of gender.
Me too. That's a future worth striving for.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you're watching that Super Bowl halftime show, don't just enjoy the music, the spectacle. Take a moment to think about who's on that stage, who's not on that stage, and what that tells us about our culture, our values.
That's such an important reminder. It's about being aware and engaged, asking questions, demanding more from the institutions that shape our world.
Because ultimately, that fight for equality and representation doesn't just end when the lights go down and the game resumes. It's an ongoing conversation, and we all have a role to play in shaping its direction.
Well said. That's a perfect note to end on.
I agree. So keep those conversations going, keep pushing for change, and who knows, maybe one day we'll see a Super Bowl halftime show that truly reflects the rich diversity and incredible talent of the music world. Until next time, thanks for joining us for this deep dive.